almost 7 miles west.
Indianapolis, Indiana. Paved with over 3.2 million bricks in 1909. This place has seen some of the best racing ever.
Jeff Gordon wins the Brickyard.
And this weekend, it plays host to the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series.
You win this week if you count your blessings.
Now just down the road, Indianapolis Raceway Park. No bricks involved. It's tight, side-by-side short track racing that has NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series written all over it.
Jeff Chadwick will win the Powerstroke Diesel 200.
Back to the roots of racing. And back to a few guys that help make NASCAR what it is.
Wait for Jack Sprague. Hamilton is a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion. Side by side, Ted Musgrave.
And a few others who put the series on the map. So tonight, NASCAR weekend begins.
Stay door to door.
Bumping and banging, old school racing at Indy.
That's the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
So let the games begin. The Powerstroke Diesel 200 is next.
There's the pagoda at the big track. The Brickyard, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're about 7 miles west of there at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is presented by Craftsman. A beautiful evening for racing. It has rained most of the day, but the temperature now 77 degrees. We look at the Ford top 10 point standings. Dennis Setzer with a 158-point lead over Ted Musgrave. One name you don't see on that list, our most recent winner, Brandon Witt. 2 weeks ago at Memphis on a green-white checkered restart, it's Ron Hornaday in front of Brandon Witt, his first ever green-white checkered performance, starting in second place. Jimmy Spencer on the last lap gets spun around in turns 3 and 4. Smoke fills the air. Ron Hornaday's not sure if there's someone on the other side. Brandon Witt drives right by and claims his first ever NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series win. Ron Hornaday backs across the line in 21st. $18,000 Brandon Witt won for his team, and he's standing by with Wendy Venerini.
He's only one of 2 drivers under 30 to win this season. Young Brandon Witt, he's only 22 years old in a shocking finish, but yet deserving, Brandon. It's been a wild week for you. We had the week off. Did your win sink in, and how was your week of enjoyment?
No, it was great. You know, the win finally sank in, and, you know, it's a dream come true, but, you know, that didn't last long. We had to go to Nashville on Tuesday and Wednesday following that race, so we were right back at it the following week, and, you know, we had to get ready to come here to IRP, and hopefully we'll be able to get our McMillan Homes Tundra up in the top 5 again and put ourselves in position to win tonight.
Brandon Witt will have a long night. He starts 21st tonight. Now, the man on the raw end of the deal 2 weeks ago at Memphis was Ron Hornaday.
Ron Hornaday has more wins in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series than any other driver. At Atlanta earlier this year, it was victory number 27. But at Mansfield, a jumped restart brought the Goodwrench Chevy back to pit road. At Dover, the problem was missing lug nuts, giving up the lead for Hornaday. At Texas, they couldn't get the fuel in the truck. And last week at Memphis, a botched turn number 4 took away another victory for this team. Hornaday is now 248 points out of the lead and a long way from his 3rd championship. And folks, if you assume that Ron Hornaday would have won all 4 of those races like many of us do, if you do the math, it would add up that he would now be 2nd in points, just 68 points out. Ron, we take a look at some of those miscues from out this season. We're on the truck now, and this is pretty wild. What has this team learned from the few mistakes that you've made, and how does it made you better?
Well, Wally and myself done this a long time. I mean, you learn by your mistakes, but you can't help it. It's just luck, and this is racing. I mean, I won a lot of races, green, white, checker, and I lost one last week. But no, this team's tough. Kevin and Delaney put a great truck together, great team and everything else, and we just do what we got to do. I mean, we just got to keep going on. We feel an opportunity to get these points, and got a good backer with Chevrolet and GM Goodwrench, so we'll see what we got to do.
Okay, and we got a little bit of bad news this week as Hornaday and the crew found out that Goodwrench will not be back with this team next year. Bob?
The hottest drivers on the circuit right now is Dennis Setzer. We're going to climb up in the truck with him during driver intros. He has done really well. 6 out of the last 7 races in the top 5, but you have never won here at IRP. Dennis, can that change here tonight?
Well, we certainly hope so. Our Silverado was pretty decent during practice, but you get under this night time, hopefully it get better. You know, we did that at Milwaukee. We were just okay in practice, got a lot better, but these guys worked really hard, so we'll see how it comes out.
He is always good on the short tracks. In fact, he's won 7 in his career. Half of his finishes have been top 5s on the short tracks, but like I said, guys, he's never won here.
Dennis Setzer looking for his first win at IRP. The trucks are all in line and the fans are being introduced to all of the drivers. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Welcome back to the NCT S200 at IRP, presented on Speed Channel by Kawasaki. Ray Dunlap caught up with Ted Musgrave to talk about hobbies, his beginning in racing, and Cup Series in this week's edition of Tailgate Talk.
Well, this is really a tailgate talk with Ted Musgrave. Now, you're a truck driver, but you're a car collector. How did that get started?
Well, I had to have something to do, you know. I go to the junkyard to find out something out there and drag it home and restore it, you know, and that's kind of like my pastime.
It takes a long time to become a veteran in racing. You've certainly accomplished that. Tell me about your early days and how this all got started.
It all started way back when I was very young. My dad was a USAC racer and ran a lot around, you know, the United States and Ohio, Riverside, California, all around. You know, it kind of started back at home.
You know, this guy's had a lot of success in Nextel Cup. Second place finishes, but never a win. Does that bother you?
You know, you could think about it, say, hey, you know, you never won in a Winston Cup event, but yeah, but I've been there. I've got poles, I've had track records, and you know, I've got a lot of good finishes. So, you know, that's far beyond. That's a long time ago. Right now, I'm filling up the trophy case with Truck Series wins.
Ted Musgrave claims the Milwaukee 200. Is your winner tonight in Richmond. Ted Musgrave's not so excellent adventure at IRP has never finished higher than what he started. And right now, Bobby Dillner's caught up with Ted Musgrave.
That's right, and he's trying to break that streak here tonight as we're still on top of the truck with Dennis Setzer and Teddy Musgrave as the truck comes to a stop here. I have to use you, but what about this? This has been a difficult track for you. Can you turn things around here tonight, Teddy?
If I turn everybody else around. No, the truck's not really that good right now, but we made some changes. Hopefully it'll be a little bit better. But I'm just looking, if I can get a top 5, even a top 10, I think I'm going to take that because, like I say, right now it's not too good, but you never know. Surprises can happen.
And on a bump and grind track, folks, key position is track position, and Teddy Musgrave's got it starting second here tonight.
Well, whenever you take a look at all the races that we've run here at IRP, you know, qualifying has been a very important part of it. As a matter of fact, no driver has ever won from any further back than starting 5th. Of course, Carl Edwards did it from 5th here just a couple of years ago. And Bobby Hamilton is standing by here with me, and you get to start 3rd tonight. But tell us a little bit about the strategy of tonight's race. How are you going to approach it?
Keep the fenders on it. I mean, you got to have yourself in a decent position at the end of this thing to be even, you know, to be in contention to win it, and you need to be in the top 5 with 30, 40 laps to go, or you usually don't have a shot. 1 pit stop or 2 tonight? Well, it just depends on what guys stop early or whatever. You judge off of that. You know, it could very well be done the way Goodyear has the tires these days. It could very well be done off of 1 stop. Okay, good luck tonight. He will roll the Bailey's Dodge off 3rd. Wendy?
David Rudiman comes off his career best finish of 2nd in Memphis. David, you start 8th tonight due to points. How's your truck, and what's going to be the key to get around this place tonight?
We're okay. I mean, I don't know about as far as the key to getting around here. I sure haven't got this place figured out yet. But our NTN bearing Toyota Tundra's pretty good. I mean, we just hopefully Jason Overstreet and those guys made some changes before the race here. Hopefully they're the right ones.
All right, good luck tonight. Let's head trackside for the invocation.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time is now. If you would please rise, gentlemen, remove your hats to deliver our invocation, a good friend of Indianapolis Raceway Park, Mr. Tim Spillman.
Can we all pray? Father God, once again, we thank you for the opportunity of being here this evening. We thank you for all your blessings and all of your love that you bestow upon each and every one of us. We thank you for Ron Anderson, and we ask that you would continue to bless all of his staff and everything that would go on here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. We thank you for all the sponsors that come along, Lord, to make all of this possible. And now, Father, we ask that you would bless and keep safe this entire weekend of racing, all of our drivers, crews, and officials. And we thank you in our Lord's name we pray. Amen.
And ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing. From Newark, Ohio, country music star, it's Shauna Quarter to sing our nation's national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Stands continue to fill up at Indianapolis Raceway Park as they're about to go 100 miles per hour on a short track.
And I spend my time with the pedal to the metal. Some people live their lives afraid of getting hurt, but I love the curve.
Back under the lights just west of Indianapolis, Indiana at Claremont, Indiana for our 15th race of the season. Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Powerstroke Diesel 200 presented on Speed Channel by Kawasaki. Hello everyone, I'm Rick Allen alongside of Phil Parsons, and back in the booth is Michael Waltrip. Now today didn't go quite as planned, Phil. We were supposed to have practice, but it rained from about 9:15 this morning until almost 3 o'clock, and so they only got a very limited time on the track.
Rick, these drivers were expecting about 2.5 hours of practice. They only got 1 hour of practice. That's really going to be an advantage for people like Ron Hornaday, Jack Sprague, Bobby Hamilton, the guys with the experience. This is a very, very difficult racetrack to get a hold of. David Aruden, we heard a few moments ago, he was here last year. He said he hasn't figured this racetrack out yet, so it's extremely difficult. They're only going to get 1 or 2 chances to work in these trucks with pit stops, so they better be pretty close when they start this race.
Experience being the key. Michael, you've had experience winning at this track.
Yeah, but what you have to do, Rick, here, we talk about at Daytona and Talladega how important it is to be mentally tough. You race so close together. It's no different at the little short track here at IRP, because you can get down underneath a guy getting in the corner. He doesn't cut you any slack. You're liable to wreck your truck. We talked earlier about keeping your fenders on the truck. That's very important, and it's going to be very easy to knock them off. So these guys can't put themselves in a position like I did a year ago here and wreck their truck early in the going.
Well, it was a short race for you last year, too, but I'm sure you would have preferred it to have been like your Busch win.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. When was that? Was that in this era? I'm not sure.
I believe it was. Let's take a look at our Kawasaki track description.
You see there's a very relatively flat racetrack. The banking is actually progressive, so it's higher in the corner. You got more banking in the corners. That's why you run really right around the top of the racetrack here. It's awfully hard to make a truck work on the bottom.
But you'll see a guy get it hooked up down there, Phil. A guy that can dive to the bottom and pull beside another driver and then race off the turn side by side can beat them into the next turn. But man, it's hard work to get the truck sticking down low like that and complete a pass. Like you said, the main groove is right up against the wall.
Our all-state race analysis has 36 trucks again starting tonight's race.
About a $500,000 purse. Pit window is about 125 to 135 laps. That's if they go green flag racing without any caution flags.
And that 36 trucks on this half-mile track, it fills it up right quick. These guys will be in lap traffic from the word go. I mean, it won't take long before the leaders start to catch the back markers. That's when things get exciting.
This track a little bit different than some of the short tracks where the preferred line normally is on the bottom of the track. This is one where you're going to see the trucks running up towards the wall a little bit more.
Way different, way different. It offers a lot of options for guys, though. They can try to squeeze between a guy and the wall, or they can try to dive down to the bottom on the flat.
Well, let's continue with tonight's activities and go down for the command at trackside.
And now to give the most famous words in motorsports from the Ford Motor Company, Mr. Todd Eckert.
On behalf of Built Ford Tough Trucks and International, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines!
And with that, the roar, the NASCAR Craftsman trucks are off, and we see some
Short track racing, bumping and banging. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series about ready to attack this just over 5/8 mile, very fast track.
Black top, white lines, hazard lights and the warning signs. 'Cause I want the rush of 100-mile-an-hour love.
The NCTS 200 at IRP presented on Speed Channel by Kawasaki. The leading edge of power, performance, exhilaration. By Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. By the Ford Family Plan, from the Ford family to the American family. Welcome. And by new Mobil 1 Extended Performance, official motor oil of NASCAR. Clouds overhead. The lights on for our second short track race in a row under the lights. And we're about to line these up. What's the starting grid setup?
I know it. I know this one. It's the Domino's Pizza starting grid, and we're going to get right into it. That's the 555 race day deal, and I still don't know what that means, but you call there and they'll tell you. And they've just recently been voted America's favorite pizza. Dennis Setzer on the pole. Ted Musgrave beside him. John Andretti starting fourth because the owner points on that truck. But that truck was one of the slowest ones in practice field. Be interesting to see how that'll jumble up this start with those trucks up front.
And one thing that's going to be unusual is Dennis Setzer is elected to start on the outside. The pole sitter has that option. We talked about the outside of the racetrack being the way to go. Dennis Setzer will start from the outside.
And just a reminder, today we were supposed to have 2 practices this morning and then qualifying at 5 o'clock. All of that was rained out. They had a practice from about 4 to 5 o'clock today. That's the only time they've been on the track.
One thing that'll work with that, though, Rick, they knew what their agenda was. They didn't have to do race practice and qualifying practice. Qualifying is important here, so they would have to spend some time doing that. Starting the field by points, they were able to focus on their race setups all throughout practice. These are some trucks you see starting in the back. We don't know what kind of trucks these guys have. They might have been really good in practice and will need to race to the front because of getting a bad starting spot due to points.
The trucks that had to go home because of not being able to attempt qualifying: Clay Rogers, Frank Wilson Jr., Bobby Eves, Johnny Sauter, a big name that wasn't able to make this field, Michael Falk, and Casey Kingsley.
Really too bad for Johnny Sauter. Had such a great truck here last year. Finished second to Chad Chaffin. Unfortunately, because of the rain out in qualifying, will not be able to start this race.
There's probably a lot of people glad he ain't out there. As tough as he was a year ago, you know, he was gonna lay a whooping on him. There's our buddy Schrader in his little hot rod truck.
Federated Auto Parts Chevrolet starts 36. We'll ride along with him, as well as Todd Bodine in the 30. He'll start 15.
Winner at Kansas City earlier this year, a few races ago.
Man, I like being able to peer right inside the cockpit there and see what those guys are up to. You know, Sprague's ready. Everybody talking in the garage area and down on pit road that he's got a really fast truck.
David Starr got his first top 5 finish on a short track in his Craftsman Truck Series career in his 39th start. He was really excited. Absolutely.
Look at him. He's waving at us. There's Terry Cook in the Powerstroke Diesel hot rod. That's a Ford. Spencer's in a Dodge. There he is. Look at there. You can see right in his eyeballs. Resetting his tach, checking his pit road speed, taking his tires in a little bit. Hornaday down beside him.
Let's go down trackside for final thoughts before the start with Wendy Venerini.
It's never too early to start thinking about points, and with 11 races to go, folks, Dennis Setzer's sitting pretty good right now. 158-point lead on Ted Musgrave. Now, here's something Bob Dillner mentioned. Musgrave, Setzer, and Musgrave, neither one of them have a top 5 finish at this track. Our points contenders, that's one thing to watch out for tonight. But one thing's for sure, track position is key at IRP. Setzer and Musgrave don't have to worry about passing traffic right now since they're starting 1 and 2. Ray?
Well, Wendy, Jack Sprague will have a lot of work to do if he's going to pass traffic because he starts all the way back in 13th. And we want to talk about points. Well, Sprague is 404 out, so they think they've pretty much said the championship is out of reach. But they know they have one of the best trucks here. As Michael said, they believe the 16 is the truck to beat. And tonight, it's all about a victory, nothing about points. Bob?
Hey, everybody at home, one truck I want you to keep an eye on tonight is Tracy Hines, number 13. He may be way down to the points race, but this is his home track. He's won 12 times here in USAC competition. He was 5th last night in the Silver Crown car, and he was 8th in the only practice session here today. Tracy told me he has a very consistent truck on the long haul, and that's good news here at IRP.
We're getting a report that the 18 truck was a little bit slow in taking off, but it appears as though he's got it going and it is lined up in the proper position.
Chase is probably going to have to fall to the back of the field since he did have trouble on pit road prior to the race. Phil, I think that this is one of the greatest short track races in America. I love IRP. It's the eve of the Brickyard weekend. I'm a little giddy. I hadn't been up here with y'all for a couple weeks, and if I get to talking too much, hit me.
You know, Michael, I was here for the very first Busch race in 1982, and I cannot tell you how big a deal it was for NASCAR to come to Indianapolis. That was years before we talk about running the Brickyard. A big deal coming here.
And every one of these drivers in these trucks know that this is a big race to win. It's going to be intense.
The Powerstroke Diesel 200 about to get underway. The green flag flies, and we're racing at IRP.
You can see Setzer, he picked that outside groove. Can he hold off Musgrave? Keep him pinned down low and get the lead? Ted got a great start, Phil.
He sure did. Dennis Setzer. Ted wants to be a little bit careful not to slide up into Dennis Setzer. Dennis looks like he has the advantage, but they're side by side. Terry Cook gets sideways in the 10 truck.
That was 3 wide. It's 2 wide. They've gone all the way around the track side by side. Dennis Setzer now able to get out in front of the 1, but just by a nose.
Man, these big old trucks fill up this racetrack. You put 2 of them side by side down in the corner here at IRP, and it's a handful. Setzer's plan worked out perfectly. He started on the outside and led the first lap. Now he's settled into a bit of a groove here.
You know, this looks like a wide racetrack, but these drivers, they cannot really, very few people can make them run right on the bottom of the racetrack. So it's really only about 2 grooves wide, the top groove being the preferred groove.
Michael, is there a rhythm you need to get in to really run well at this track?
Yeah, and you can't get into it right now, especially these guys racing from 10th, 20th on. They're all got 2 crashing on the back straightaway.
Spinning down the back stretch.
Fred Keselowski gets involved. 4 or 5 trucks in trouble on the back.
Brandon Witt, our most recent winner in the Truck Series, got spun around. As you mentioned, Brad Keselowski getting turned around. Also, the 07 of Jack Bailey Jr. spun around.
What a horrible break for Brad Keselowski. He had to start back in the pack by virtue of where he was in the points. He had the 3rd fastest truck in practice, Michael, and he's got some damage to that truck. Unbelievable, horrible break for Brad Keselowski.
We know how important aerodynamics is here anywhere with these Craftsman trucks. You can see the right front of that truck is torn off. Let's see what happens. They just run out of room. See, get squeezed into the wall. The 07 truck gets squeezed in the wall with Brandon Witt. Mike Wallace and Darrell's Toyota just drives right through there, does a great job.
Tracy Hines got a little piece of that, and then the 07 spun right down in front of Brad Keselowski. Nowhere to go. Look at him 3 wide here, Robert Presley, the 59 on the bottom.
And it looked like Robert left enough room, but the 07 drove up into the outside wall. That's a really intense area of the racetrack. You're racing off there, you got one guy on the bottom of you, and then all of a sudden you look over, you're 3 wide, you just run out of room.
That's exactly what it looks like. Their first career start for the 07, Jack Bailey, and unfortunately it's going to be maybe an early evening for him.
This is on board with Kenny Schrader.
He realized they were checking up, and he slowed that thing down and just tiptoed through there. Good move for Schrader.
And so damage on the 29 of Brad Keselowski, as well as the 38 of Brandon Witt and the 07 of Jack Bailey. We'll be back with more NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on the Speed Channel. Your NASCAR Weekend on Speed Channel continues tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. live from Indianapolis. First, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it's not right, then you've got one last chance to get it figured out before the race day. Nextel Cup practice. Then at 6 p.m., it's a 2-lap run for the pole. Busch Bowl qualifying. Your NASCAR weekend keeps on rolling live from Indianapolis tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. only on Speed Channel.
Hey, Rick, can I call up Schrader and ask him what it was like going through that wreck?
I think it'd be great.
Hey, Schrader, it's Michael Waltrip up here in the speed booth. We wondered what it looked like coming through that wreck.
It wasn't real bad, you know, not a lot of smoke. You could see what was going on, and we were just far enough back. We had plenty of time to make up our mind where we were going.
Well, tell us a little bit about your Federated Auto Parts Night of Stars at Peevely this week. I heard it was huge.
It went real good. You know, we had a real good turnout. Had 9 guys there, Cup drivers. And Martin Truex and Kenny Wallace put on a heck of a good race. And we had 1 yellow flag during the race, and our guest flagman, Dale Jr., probably the quickest I ever saw a yellow flag put out. He did a phenomenal job of flagging that race.
All right, we had a mix up here on pit road, so we're going to get on to that. But Ray Dunlap, I'm coming to you. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Michael. Brandon Witt just came in, our winner at Memphis, and he said that one of the biggest problems was he felt like the sheet metal was rolled in on that right front. So they went ahead and got that pulled back off. The other problem was, he said, his steering wheel is about 1.5 inches to the right further than where he started. So they were worried that the toe may have been knocked out on that truck. So they checked it. They said it looked like it was pretty good, though. They got the fender all repaired, and he's back to the racetrack.
Now, Ray mentioned it was 1.5 inches to the right. Is that just in proportion to the way he started, where that piece of tape is on the top of the steering wheel?
Yes, that's exactly right. And if that steering wheel is 1.5 inches off, then his toe is a little bit off. Now, it may not be much, and it may look good to the naked eye, but it's probably off a little bit. If it's towed out a little bit more, it probably won't hurt it that much. If it's towed in, it could become a problem, couldn't it, Michael?
Race 15 here at IRP. Well, who's hot right now? Guys like Rudeman. His average finish the last 3 races, 2.7. Very hot for him. But the guys who are struggling right now are Craven, Hornaday, and Hamilton. All these guys are in the top 7, with the exception of Brandon Witt. Brandon Witt's awful hot with his most recent win.
That was impressive, that whole Memphis deal for Brandon Witt. Laying in there, sitting on the pole, and being fast all night long, but burning up. He was burning to death. It was hot in his truck, and the only medicine for a hot truck is a fast truck, and he was able to fight through it because his truck was so good.
We had a red flag late in that race, and they said he was just about to pass out. He was so hot in that truck, and NASCAR instituted a new rule for that weekend that whenever they have a red flag, they were going to make sure the drivers were hydrated. They were going to give them water. Either the crew was going to give them water, or NASCAR themselves were going to give them water. That probably allowed him to get to the end of that race and win that thing.
We were talking about the 38 of Brandon Witt. He's back in the pits. Ray, what's happening?
Well, I'll tell you what, Rick, as I look in the window here of Brandon's truck, his steering wheel is actually to the right almost 3 inches from where the tape was up on center. So that has really made a pretty big adjustment. Now they're going to work on the toe on the right front there to try to adjust that back in to a better position. Now the biggest problem is we've been under yellow the whole time here, so he doesn't know how this truck is going to react when he goes back to full throttle. So they're going to try to make an adjustment for him. They got to go to it quickly here, though, so they don't get trapped and a lap down on pit road.
So that team getting Brandon Witt back out in front of the pace truck so he can stay on the lead lap. Welcome back to Claremont, Indiana, and Indianapolis Raceway Park. We're about to get back underway. The green flag flies. It's Dennis Setzer out in front of Ted Musgrave, John Andretti, Ron Hornaday, and Jimmy Spencer.
Look at Ron Hornaday jump to the bottom of the racetrack. This is the best time to try to get by somebody on the bottom when the tires are cold after a caution flag.
Not only did he try,
John fights back on the bottom of the racetrack. Let's see if he can make it work. Now he's going to slide up. You could have got a good view right there of how the upper grooves of this racetrack are a little bit banked more than the bottom grooves.
Oh, 3 wide off turn 4. This makes me nervous. Look at him into 1.
3 wide. On the inside, Matt Kraft, and on the outside, Terry Cook. And that was the NTN bearings, number 17 of David Rudeman, right in the middle.
Oh, looks like David Rudeman might have got just a touch of the wall. Matt Crafton got a little bit sideways.
Oh, left front flat on Timothy Peters. Side by side, Jack Sprague, David Rudeman going into 1 and 2.
We saw Rudeman. He had a very fast truck at Memphis, led a lot of the race, but it doesn't look like that truck is right here at IRP. He's pushing early in the race, and people are driving around him. can see him losing ground to Jack right there in the center of the corner, and Skinner looking to the bottom.
A lot of the crew chiefs in the garage here said that Jack Sprague really impressed them. He was able to drive right around the bottom of the racetrack. It seems like you get one guy per night that gets around the very bottom of the racetrack. Bob, what's going on down there?
Well, Michael was absolutely right. That 17 truck, the NTN truck, just pushing big time. It doesn't want to turn in the corners. I spoke to Michael's brother Darrell Waltrip, who owns that truck, before the race, and he said, hey, it's like every time we've ever raced here, whether it's me or my team, we're always pushing, and we cannot figure it out.
There's a battle for second. Ted Musgrave on the outside. Ron Hornaday on the inside tried to make the move, wasn't able to make the pass, but he stays on the inside of the track.
That just shows how hard it is to try to make that bottom pass work. You see Ron Hornaday's truck's turning extremely well in the center of the corner, but he can't put the power down to get by Ted Musgrave.
There's Timothy Peters coming off of pit road right now.
Andretti got into the wall up in the middle of 1 and 2, Rick.
This is the problem of what took place with Timothy Peters. You see the sparks coming out there as he blew the left front tire.
Did a great job keeping it out of the wall. You see Bill Luster trying to work his way by Timothy Peters.
Smoke coming out of John Andretti. Oh, and he's got it right front flat, it looks like.
He's made some contact with the wall. You see damage to the front end and the rear of that truck.
He got into the turn 1 and 2 wall last time by there.
And that just looks like a tire rub, maybe not a flat tire.
Well, it's enough damage where he's going to have to come to pit road. That tire is rubbing and it will blow out. But he'll try to milk it as long as he can. But he's done a lot of damage to that truck.
3 veterans right here in a row. Ted Musgrave out in front of Ron Hornaday and Jimmy Spencer. Also back there looking in 5th position, the 04 Bobby Hamilton. Ted Musgrave out in front of this pack. Wendy, how's Ted doing?
Just like all the other drivers are complaining on pit road right now, Ted Musgrave is tight. He was complaining to me during practice. He said this truck is not responding the way it did during our test session earlier last month. So they were a little bit confused during the practice session, but they did loosen the truck up right before the race, hoping that the track would come to Ted Musgrave later on tonight.
Yeah, Wendy, I talked to crew chief Gene Neat. He said, I really don't know what the problem is. We came here just like we tested. We had a great test, and the truck didn't act anything like it did during the test. He said, I really don't know what to do to this thing.
One driver who's checking out right now in the rest of the field is Dennis Setzer out in front over a second and a half.
Wow, it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch these guys pick out lanes, Phil. Johnny drove around the outside of John Andretti, and I bet you John Andretti thought he was on the high side. But Johnny was able to wedge himself between Andretti and the wall. He is making a good run in this truck early in the going, driving around a lot of trucks.
You know, we heard David Rudem in the 17 complaining of pushing. We heard the one of Ted Musgrave complaining about pushing. Michael, this is one racetrack that you can count on to get tighter as the night wears on. I was talking to Jeff White with Bobby Hamilton, the team engineer, who was acting as crew chief because Bobby Hamilton's trying to make the cup race over at the Brickyard. And he said, you need every pit stop, you need to loosen these things up, even if you don't think they need to. You got to loosen them up. Got trouble. John, is that John Andretti?
John Andretti into the wall in turns 3 and 4.
Phil, I was trying to get out here. That tire was going to blow. It just kept rubbing and kept rubbing, and eventually the thing went down and he hit the outside wall again.
You see a lot of damage, a lot more damage than he had from the earlier contact with the outside wall. Yeah. It's such a great run in this truck. He's driven it a couple times, top 10 finishes both times.
Tonight didn't go well at all. He got in the outside wall, smashed the right front fender in on the tire, and then eventually it just wore through the rubber and blew out.
He just got a tough break because he made enough contact with the outside wall that he did so much damage, and that caused this right front tire to blow out.
Let's see if we can get a look at the first time he wrecked, Phil. This was what precipitated the crash we just saw. Got loose into the corner.
Sure did. Got loose and made some contact both front and rear with the outside wall. That put a fender down on the tire, and eventually that's going to blow out here, and that's going to cause him the second contact with the wall, which was very significant.
Yeah, that truck's narrowed up. Look at that. Look how much of the right front's gone.
A lot of damage for the 15 of John Andretti. Can he come back? I mean, that looks like terminal damage.
I'd say that's on the trailer there.
And that truck is 4th in owner points. They have a great, with 7 different drivers, they're maintaining a top 5 point position in owners.
They're certainly looking at it like they're going to try to get it back out, Phil, just because of what you just said. They want to keep that thing in the top 5 in owners points.
So work now taking place on John Andretti's number 15. They have had success this season, but not a good start at IRP. Dennis Setzer's led all 24 laps At IRP, Ted Musgrave holding on to second. Ron Hornaday, Jimmy Spencer, and Bobby Hamilton now round out our top 5. We continue with more truck racing after this. In celebration of the 10th anniversary of the Truck Series, we present the toughest NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series moments made possible by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR. Moment 11 celebrates the championship of Greg Biffle in 2000. Driving the number 50 Granger Ford, Biffle went to victory lane 5 times en route to the points championship. More significantly was the fact that this was the first NASCAR championship for owner Jack Roush. Biffle has since gone on to win the Busch Series championship and put himself in position to become the first driver to win championships in all 3 of NASCAR's top 3 series. Trucks are in line. Dennis Setzer out in front as we go back to racing.
The people's producer never misses a race.
Never.
We're bringing the fans all the action that's going on here at IRP.
Green flag racing continues. Dennis Setzer in front of Ted Musgrave. Those two have held on to those 2 spots since the beginning of this race.
We had a few trucks take advantage of that caution flag to pit. Tracy Hines was one of them. Chad Chaffin, last year's winner, was another one of the trucks that pitted on that caution flag.
That Tracy Hines has a fast truck. He was marching up through the field, had a little bit of damage on his right front. I don't know if it was a strategy move for him to pit at that point in time to try to stay out later on, Phil, or if it was to repair a little bit of that damage.
We saw him get a little piece of that earlier incident when Jack Bailey bounced off the outside wall.
Boy, it's fun to watch a race here. I'm glad people are tuned into speed, but if you're ever going to go to a short track race, this is the one to come and see. These trucks are all over each other and filling up this whole track.
This is a race for second. Ron Hornaday again trying inside line on Ted Musgrave.
That's going to be a power move. He can pull that off. We heard Ted talk before the race. He didn't think his truck was that good. He's running second. He's got good track position. Think about this, Phil. If he started 20th, he'd probably still be running 20th.
So, but look at the gap between him and Dennis Setzer. That's what Ron Hornaday sees. He doesn't like to see that gap between Musgrave and Setzer. I got to close that gap up.
We're riding along in the Team ASC Dodge with Jimmy Spencer, but did you see how low Ron Hornaday just went coming out of that corner?
He's trying anything right now.
That's right. And the gap is his friend, Phil. He knows that when he dives down underneath that, oh, we got to spin. Hamilton gets sideways. Everybody checks up behind him.
He bumps the wall, slows down. And Bobby Hamilton
flag is out.
And the caution flag comes out on lap 32.
They threw that caution because they thought he was going to wreck, and I would have agreed with them on that one.
He had all the looks of wrecking anyway.
He did a great job saving that truck. He got a little assist from the wall to straighten up that right rear.
We're going to take a look at the right side of his truck when he comes by. It does look like he made contact.
Yeah, it didn't hurt a thing though. It just saved him from wrecking.
He may not even pit.
No, I don't think he will. Look at him checking his tires out there, making sure they're okay. What I was saying though, Phil, track position is so key. Ted Musgrave, with his truck not being as good as he wants, if he had started back in the field, he would probably still be marred right where he started. Because he got a great starting position, he's been able to hold service and stay in that spot, stay up toward the front. It'll be interesting to watch this truck all night long as they pit on pit road, whether the adjustments they make will enable him to get that thing better.
Let's look at the handful Bobby Hamilton had moments ago.
This is right between turn 3 and 4. You see him get completely sideways. There he makes the contact with the outside wall. Very fortunate Matt Crafton, the 88 truck, got by him before Bobby ducked down to the bottom of the racetrack.
Man, that's just, you don't see a guy spin out more than that and not wreck.
As you mentioned, the outside wall saved him. That straightened his truck out. Had it not, if the racetrack was 10 feet wider, he spins that truck out.
Right, he does, right in the front of the field. Bob, what's he say about all that?
Well, he said the truck was actually a little bit tight and he was going to make some adjustments. But the funny thing, Michael, is he said to the crew, hey, guys, I was just trying something out, and evidently it didn't work.
I like it when you own your truck. You can say stuff like that. If you're not the owner, you might keep that to yourself, or they'll say, yeah, we could fire you and try somebody else too, dude. You got to keep that thing straight.
That does know what he's doing.
Ray, what do you got?
Well, Michael, Phil made a mention that a few guys have been down pit road already, but we don't expect anyone to come down here in all earnest till about lap 60. That would be about the earliest they'd like to do it. The ultimate plan would be you'd come in at 60 and 120 if it worked out perfectly for you. You don't want to come to pit road any later than lap 120, though, because it's going to be so difficult to get your track position back. So that's the ultimate pit stop plan, 60 and 120. Wendy?
Well, we see the Spears Manufacturing, sorry to jump in there, Wendy, but the Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet of David Starr has come in, and they are underneath that truck.
They're probably
on the rear end.
They're probably unhooking the rear sway bar, I would guess, Phil. That truck was loose with him, I would suspect, and maybe they're unhooking the rear, or the opposite. Everybody's pushing. They might be hooking up the rear sway bar.
Yeah, I talked to Dave McCarty, crew chief, right before the race, and he said Dave Starr does not like a rear sway bar. They did not have one on there, so they could have either, as you mentioned, either hooked it up or maybe adjusting on the rear shocks.
Wendy, what's happening with Dennis Setzer?
Eric Phillips, his crew chief, and I were just speaking moments ago, and he was telling me that they're going to try and wait till lap 100. He originally told me 130 before the start of the race, but now our leader's crew chief is thinking around lap 100 for Dennis Setzer. Of course, he's tight like everyone else. He took a little bit of the front brake off just in case because he was a little bit tight. They are looking at track bar and air pressure adjustment on our leader's truck.
That tells me that he's thinking about a one pit stop strategy. We heard Ray talk about somewhere around lap 60 and then lap 120. It sounds like Eric Phillips and Dennis Setzer are on the one pit stop strategy. Go about halfway and say, hey, it's all yours from here, babe.
Well, Phil, we've proven time and time again we're not the best at predicting strategy. Richie Waters made us look like we had our heads up our rear end or something in Charlotte, but it can go either way. Either one of those strategies can win this race. It just depends on when the caution flag flies. You can have a one pit strategy, pit around lap 100 and win it, or you can get it twice and still win it. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Well, the Craftsman's always on the cutting edge of technology when it comes to tools. Tonight we want to spotlight another important piece of equipment the Craftsman makes available to all of us in the Craftsman tool.
You know, the race teams use a corded drill down here in the garage all day long. But Craftsman's added a neat new feature to this one. See this yellow button right here? Well, when I push that button and turn it on, you'll notice now I have a vertical and a horizontal laser level to show me I'm getting just the right spot. If I want to have a hole that's exactly like where that rivet is, I just use my laser level and that'll tell me. Now, one of the nice features is, of course, this thing has a keyless chuck. So it's real easy to tighten up your drill bit and real easy to take one out also. Now, there's also a level back here on the back. So if I were getting ready to put deck screws in all day long, all I've got to do is look down, and when my dot's in the center, I know that I'm going in just the right way. The great thing about this is whether you're working on a race truck or whether you're hanging pictures at home, you know when you're doing your work, it'll always be straight.
Dennis Setzer's been straight all day and night out in front of this field.
We heard Wendy tell us that he took a little front brake off. That will actually make his truck a little bit looser. It will help it rotate in the corner. He's fighting that little bit of a tight condition. That's why he will remove some of his front brake. These drivers can adjust their brake bias from front to rear inside the trucks.
And we're hearing NASCAR is going to penalize a 75 possibly for speeding on pit road.
Ron Hornaday continues to try to figure out a way by Ted Musgrave. He looks like he's got a very, very good truck, but it's so difficult to try to pass somebody on the bottom of the racetrack.
This is a battle for second, and it's been going on for, well, about 38 laps.
Oh, it looks like that one truck's just very tight off the turns, and Ron is working the bottom. He's got him a little bit of gap there between he and Spencer, so he's going to roll the dice here, try to dive up under him.
Dennis Setzer is running the best lap times almost each and every time around this racetrack. Obviously, he has clean racetrack. You see Ron Hornaday again pull beside Ted Musgrave.
How much is this affecting Ron Hornaday's tire running on the inside of the track, trying to get by Ted Musgrave every lap?
I don't think it hurts a thing. If your truck's handling good enough to do that, you're not abusing the tires near as much as Musgrave is pushing his front end off the turn. Ron's got a good truck. He's just aiming it where he wants to go. The thing isn't skating the front tires. That's why he's able to cut so low, whereas Musgrave is pushing off the turn and hurting his tires worse.
I don't think Ted Musgrave wants to allow Ron Hornaday to get by because he does not want to open the floodgates, because it looks like he's holding up a lot of these trucks. Got a great battle there. There's Jack Sprague, the 16 truck. He's currently in the 7th position. He took that over from Ricky Craven just a moment ago.
So passing is allowed on this track.
It's tough, though. I've just watched Eric Almirola. Darn it, I thought I was going to say that right. Did I say it right?
Almirola, you were close.
Well, he's got a fast truck, too. He's driving Randy Goss's truck. He's cutting his way through this field in a hurry, too. I think he'll be a player before this thing's over. And this is only his second start, right, Phil?
That's right. He ran Memphis earlier. He tested here right after the Memphis race, so they felt like they had a good test. He said he's a very, very talented race car driver.
Jimmy Spencer's going to get tired watching these two guys battle for second place as he sits back and forth, and we've had a bird's eye view of the battle going on from Jimmy Spencer's onboard.
Well, it's, you know, the thing is, what you have to realize, Rick, is Jimmy's not good enough to get up there and put the pressure on Hornaday when Hornaday tries to dive under the one truck. So Hornaday's got it made right now. He can lay off the one truck here for a lap or two and then make another run on him, but yet the two truck can't get to him. There's the 47. And that truck has been right. He's been out. See him get loose off the turn. He's not pushing. He's able to drive to the bottom of the racetrack and make a bunch of good moves. He's been impressive watching him come through the field.
Eric trying to work his way around the 22 of Bill Lester. How's he doing, Wendy?
Eric Almirola did have to start a little bit in the hole after that lap 8 caution. He flat spotted his tires. He came down pit road on lap 8, took 4 fresh tires. It put him all the way back down to 35th, and now Eric's worked his way back up to the 20th.
Well, I'm telling you, Phil, he's doing something that's hard to do there. That's a hard road to hoe. Keeping that thing as low as he is, but yet able to keep pace. He's got to be careful, though. He'll get a little bit impatient if he's not careful and try to come up on Bill Lester, and all of a sudden into the wall he'll go.
See, Michael, this is a situation right here where I think obviously that 47 truck is faster than the 22 as you see him go ahead and make the pass. See, I think Bill Lester would have been better off to let him by when he caught him from way back. Let him by, don't hold him up any, and they both will run faster.
Almost 1/4 of the race complete as Dennis Setzer has dominated this one so far in front of a very good crowd at IRP. We'll be back with more Craftsman Truck Series racing on Speed Channel.
It's tight, side-by-side short track racing that has NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series written all over it.
Chad will win the Powerstroke Diesel 200.
Back to the roots of racing. And back to a few guys that help make NASCAR what it is.
Wait for Jack Sprague. Hamilton is a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion. Side by side, Ted Musgrave.
And a few others who put the series on the map. Bumping and banging, old school racing at Indy.
That's the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And welcome back to the NASCAR Craftsman Channel by Kawasaki. Dennis Setzer out in front. I'm Rick Young alongside Phil Parsons and Michael Waltrip up in the booth. Down on pit road, it's Ray Dunlap, Wendy Venturini, and Bob Dillner. Dominant performance so far by Dennis Setzer. We've seen dominant performances already this year by that 46 team.
He absolutely killed this field at Milwaukee early on. What a great run so far for Todd Cleaver. He started back in the 16th position. Now he's passing the 0-4 of Bobby Hamilton for the 7th position. And what a terrific run. And he can run right on the bottom. He's made all his passes on the bottom, Michael.
And did you see what Bobby Hamilton did? Just like you suggested that Bill Lester do earlier. He saw that 50 truck coming, caught him in a hurry, dove to the bottom. Bobby said, go ahead. We'll check back with you later.
We've seen Bobby race so smart this year. Daytona, he started last. We never saw him battle for the lead until the end of the race, and he wins the thing on the last lap.
Todd Cleaver running very well. Ray, how's he feeling?
Everything good so far, Rick. You know, I talked to his crew chief, Mike Beam, before this race started, and he said, you know, I'm still learning the strategy part of this NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series racing. You'll remember at Memphis just a week ago, they had to pit for fuel, and they came in under green, lost a couple of laps on the racetrack, but they had an excellent truck that day. Guess what? This is the exact same truck that they ran at Memphis, and so far, Cleaver said just a tiny bit tight in the center, but he's pretty happy with his Shell Rotella Ford.
You know, we've been to so many racetracks this year that Todd Cleaver had never seen before. He actually has raced here on this racetrack. As a matter of fact, he finished in the top 10 in an ASA race here last year. So he said what a joy it was to come to a racetrack that I've been to before.
Wow, Bobby Hamilton's starting to slide back through the field, Phil.
And how about a good run for Robert Presley? They have really struggled with that Edie's Ice Cream Dodge of Jim Harris's, and they've really got a good run going here. Robert's already up to the 11th position. I think make it the top 10 for Robert Presley. Bob?
He has gained 15 spots, Phil, and his truck is working. You see him on the bottom groove right there. He just radioed into crew chief Fred Graves during that last caution period and said, hey, my truck is running great on the bottom. Fred said, hey, that's a good thing because nobody else is running there. He's got the Edie's Ice Cream folks watching him here today, hoping for a good run. And right now, Michael, he is the bottom feeder.
got to like that. You like to go where they ain't, Bob. You know, if they're not running up high, you want to have a truck that'll go up high so no one's in your way. And if they're not on the bottom and you can get there, then that's where you want to be.
There's another one of the bottom feeders, Todd Cleaver. He's made a tremendous amount of passes on the bottom of the racetrack. Matt Crafton, in 4 races here, has never been out of the top 10, and Todd Cleaver's going by him on the bottom.
Todd Cleaver starting this race 16th, and as you had mentioned, he makes his way up, now in the 6th position.
Wow, that's been impressive. He's the real mover of the race tonight. He's driven that thing past a bunch of trucks right down low on the track field.
We've run over 60 laps now. If we get a caution anytime soon, that will put most of these trucks in their window. We may see some pit stops as soon as the caution flag comes out, and that may be the only pit stop.
And it'll definitely be decision time. Guys will decide, is it a one-stop race or is it a two-stop race? If it's a two-stop race, they will definitely pit, and then they'll reevaluate where they are around lap 120 or so. If it's a one-stopper, you might see guys run just past 100 and stop then. So we're waiting for a caution flag to fly now just to see what kind of strategy these teams are going to use.
3 cautions have already flown tonight. The most cautions ever at IRP in a truck race is 10. We hope not to get close to that. But man, did you see Dennis Setzer get sideways?
Even though his truck is a little bit tight in the center of the corner, by the time he gets his truck turned and the front end catches up to the back end, a lot of times these trucks will get loose way off the corner. You almost think they're on the straightaway, and they still spin the wheels and get a little bit loose.
Sure has been fun to watch Ted Musgrave. He held off all those advances that Ron Hornaday put on him, and now he's driven away from Ron, settling into a nice little pace there. In fact, he's running a little bit faster than our leader right now.
At 65 is Tim Fedowa, just in front of Brandon Witt and David Starr riding along on the Spears Manufacturing 75 of David Starr.
Tim Fedowa making his first Truck Series start of the year, driving for Glenn Motorsports. He raced a couple years ago for Roush Racing at Daytona. That was his only Truck Series start ever, but it looks like he will be in this truck in several more races.
Looking back on the Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet of David Starr, back to Brandon Witt. Again, Brandon Witt, just a career night 2 weeks ago at Memphis, grabbing his first pole in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, following that up with his first win.
You see Dennis Setzer, the leader, right behind these trucks right here. They desperately would love a caution flag to try to stay on the lead lap.
Those trucks that Setzer's following are all behind Mike Wallace. Mike Wallace is running in the 23rd spot right now, Phil. There's 8 or 10 trucks backed up to our leader, so he's got his work cut out for him cutting through this traffic. I'm going to say second place Ted Musgrave will get there before Dennis gets through it.
But then he's got to go through the trucks just like Dennis had to, so then the gap may open back up.
Dennis Setzer putting some trucks a lap down at IRP. It's Setzer, Musgrave, Hornaday, Spencer, and Cleaver, your top 5 IRP. Setzer looking to win his first ever race at IRP. Monday night, check out NASCAR TV on Speed Channel at 7 p.m. NASCAR Nation with Leanne Tweed. It's life beyond the fast lane. Then at 7:30 p.m. NBS 24/7. Find out what it takes to be a part of a NASCAR Busch Series race team. And at 8 p.m. inside Nextel Cup. It's full night of NASCAR TV Monday on Speed Channel. You're part of that inside Nextel Cup show, right, Michael?
Yes, we're delivering informative information in an entertaining way, we think.
Problems with Ted Musgrave, we're hearing.
We're not sure anybody else thinks that.
Ron Hornaday was able to get by him finally.
Wendy, what's going on with him?
Ted Musgrave just came over the radio and said his right rear tire is going away, and that's why you saw Ron Hornaday get around Ted Musgrave.
Jack Sprague also able to make the pass. He takes over the 3rd position.
Now, Michael, earlier I had asked you about whose tires was it going to affect the most by those guys running side by side, and you said it was going to be Ted Musgrave.
Well, was I wrong or right?
Well, it sounds like you're right.
Well, I'm just telling you, Rick, this lead, this battle for the 46 to get through traffic has got me on the edge of my seat. Look at this mess. The 12 truck of Mike Wallace is pushing. Timmy Fedowa is down on the bottom. Setzer's heating them up. Sometimes when all this happens, Phil, it results in a caution.
Sure does, and that's something Dennis Setzer does not want to see right now. See, there's Ken Schrader, Federated Auto Parts Chevrolet, racing alongside David Starr.
And we're seeing bumping and banging right there. That short track racing.
All these guys, Mike Wallace right now would give anything for a caution, but sometimes when you say that, it winds up being you. So he's got to be careful to wish that too hard.
Dennis Setzer showing a lot of patience so in getting by the slap traffic. There's another good shot of Kenny Schrader, that's Butch Miller, the 08. That's a Federated Auto Parts Chevrolet right there. There's the 08 of Butch Miller. Saw for an instant.
Schrader doesn't have that thing running the way he had hoped. Setzer's down on the inside of Mike Wallace. Look at that thing go through the center of the corner. That's where he makes all his time on these guys, and it's visible there when he's beside another truck. You can see him just shoot through the middle.
He didn't gain on him any coming off the corner, but what he gained right there in the center is enough to get him by Mike Wallace.
Now Mike Wallace will have to battle his rear end off to stay ahead of Timmy Fedewa and be the free pass truck should the caution fly. Dennis Setzer still got about 10 or 15 truck lengths between he and the next guy that'll go a lap down. So right now Mike's hoping for that caution, and he gets sideways off the corner.
Here comes Timmy Fedewa on the bottom of the racetrack. This is a battle to try to get the free pass. David Starr, the 75 Spears truck, also in this battle. He gets sideways in the center of the corner.
Racing to stay alive, more or less, as these trucks have just gone a lap down. 3 wide, going into turn 1 and 2.
There's Eric Amarillo.
Gets by the 17 of David Rudum, and they were 3 wide for a moment. See Tracy Hines, the 13 truck. He has already made some pit stops. He's ready to race back into a top 20 position right now.
Amarillo.
You're going to get it.
I am. I'm
you
sorry.
Say it a couple more times and you'll hit it.
I practice it during break, but then when I go to say it, I mess it up. But I am impressed with this kid. He is driving a great race, and he is charging through this field, racing against guys that are veterans.
He's running the bottom of the racetrack even when he has clean racetrack, Michael. The outside of the racetrack is the way to go around here, and he's running the bottom of the racetrack.
Can I tell you that I had the pleasure of driving for Randy Goss last year? He is incredible the way he can take what the driver's saying and relate it to that truck. I love my chance to drive for Goss, and I know Eric is right now.
Matt Crafton just got way sideways. He's right behind Ted Musgrave. Now, Musgrave had been battling at the 2nd position for most of this race. He's dropped all the way back to 6th and is about to lose that position to Crafton.
We heard Wendy tell us that Ted said he thought he overheated his right rear tire. Sometimes these trucks are so tight in the center of the corner, when they finally the front end grabs, as we mentioned a few moments ago, then you spin sideways, and that's what Ted has been doing, and he's overheated his right rear tire.
Well, there's a lot of trucks the fact that this thing has stayed green so long, Phil, is probably going to make it a one-stop race. With the caution flies, if it ever flies, these guys will be forced into a one-stop strategy. That means that the guys that started this race with their trucks dialed in are going to have a tremendous advantage, because these other cats aren't going to have enough time to make adjustments or enough chances to make adjustments.
We just saw Brandon Witt get into the wall. He was involved with this, almost a 3-wide battle between Crafton and the 1 of Ted Musgrave. And he was a lap down, but got into the wall, it looked like, as they were coming through turn 2.
Matt Crafton trying to work, as we saw Ron Hornaday do this for 40 or 50 laps. You see Ken Schrader, the Federated Auto Parts Chevrolet, on pit road.
Green flag pit stop for Ken Schrader.
This is actually his 2nd pit stop. We saw Ken Schrader I saw Ken Schrader a few moments ago come down pit road. So this is Ken's 2nd pit stop on the green. He's going to make the hard left-hand turn into the garage area.
Too bad for Ken Schrader. Side by side continuing again. That's for 6th position. Musgrave and Crafton.
Michael, Rick, I think we've got the same situation here with Ted Musgrave that we were talking about earlier with Bill Lester. We saw Bobby Hamilton, when a faster truck came up to him, Todd Claver, he just let him go. Ted Musgrave seems like he's raced every single truck, every single lap around this racetrack. I'm not sure he wouldn't be better off to let Matt Crafton go by.
Well, and you know what you do, Phil, a lot of times is you look in your mirror and you hope for a break. And he doesn't have a break right now because Brendan's right on him. Brendan is driven up to the 8th spot. He's having a good run. And then right behind Brendan, there is a bit of a gap. But then here comes Todd Cleaver. I mean, here comes some of the other trucks that are closing in as well.
Now, Phil, you say that he's been racing these trucks, but he's been holding, it looks like, the same line all the way around this track. And the other guys are having to do a different line to get by him.
Right, he is running the preferred line, and he's not slowing his lap speed down that much because he is in the proper line, but he is slowing it down a little bit. It would be a little bit better if he had a little bit of room entering the corner. He could enter a little bit lower if he didn't have somebody side by side, and he could pinch the corner off a little bit if he didn't have somebody on his inside.
So Ted Musgrave has been battling a lot of trucks around this track. One guy who hasn't had to worry about the lead so far is Dennis Setzer. We'll be back to see if he can hold on to the top spot. Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. on Speed Channel. Check out NASCAR Beyond the Wheel. Go further inside a race team than you've ever been before. Hear the drivers and the crews as they work through adversity, strategize their moves, and try to drive their team to victory lane. It's NASCAR Beyond the Wheel. Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Speed Channel. Setzer putting Bill Lester now a lap down.
That gives us 21 trucks right now on the lead lap. Got a torrid battle for the 20th position between Steve Park and David Rudum. They've been battling back and forth. They would desperately like to get away from Dennis Setzer.
They're not going to get away from Dennis Setzer. No one's going to get away from him.
Well, Dennis Setzer's put almost 4 seconds between himself and Ron Hornaday.
He's amazing. He did the same thing a couple of weeks ago.
You know, we talk all the time about Dennis Setzer being a short track master, and he certainly is, but he hasn't won a short track in a couple of years. And we talked to him yesterday, and he said, we had such a good truck at Memphis. We had such a good truck at Martinsville, which was a 33rd place finish because they had some tire trouble. He said, we've had great trucks. We just haven't put it together.
Dennis Setzer looking for his first ever win at IRP, and he's right now doing it in dominant fashion, looking for it.
He's got 6 top 10s here out of 8 starts, so he knows his way around this racetrack.
Coming up on the halfway point.
He's got Rudeman a lap down now, and he's going to go after Park. Right now, Rudeman will get your free pass. Toyota is not having a very good night tonight, Phil. The best Toyota truck is running in the 13th spot. 13th for Benson, 14th for Skinner, and 15th for Todd Bodine. So far, they haven't been able to put it together here at IRP.
Wendy, is Dennis as comfortable as we think he is?
Well, his truck still is a little bit tight, but the team is definitely preparing for a caution soon or possibly green flag pit stops. Remember, Eric Phillips told me around lap 20. Now, I just watched an important guy on this team, Mike Dryman. He's the pit trainer on the 46 team. We all know races can be lost or won on pit road, and if this team has to do that work tonight, it could make a difference if Dennis Setzer wins or loses this race. He went around to the crew members. He stretched each of the crew members and gave them a little bit of pep talk. The guys on this pit crew, Dennis Setzer's pit crew, told me that Mike Dryman, their pit trainer, has been a big part in turning their pit stops around, and it could play a part in this championship contending team.
Dennis Setzer trying for that first ever championship in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He's been close before. He's been second. That's as close as he's been to holding the trophy at the end of the year. But his 2005 season is looking very promising, and it's really looking good at IRP. Let's take a closer look at the Premier Division of NASCAR in our Nextel Cup update. Points so far, Jimmy Johnson out in front. Tony Stewart closing the gap, though.
See Dale Jarrett in 10th, 427 points behind. The important part is that he is in 10th right now. The top 10 are guaranteed a spot in the chase, but you have to be within 400 points if you're beyond 10.
We can learn a little bit more about the Nextel Cup Series on Sunday morning, 11 a.m. NASCAR this morning. Tune in to find out how everyone is prepared and ready for the All-State 400 at the Brickyard. Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern, NASCAR this morning. Most recent winner, the 38 of Brandon Witt, just behind the 59 of Robert Presley.
See, Robert turned right to the bottom of the racetrack. He's racing the 23 of Johnny Benson for the 12th position. Deborah Renshaw, the 8 truck, already being shown 2 laps down.
Man, these guys are dreading, I would bet, a green flag pit stop. It's so tense, Phil. If you're the first guy to come to pit road, you're going to gain a tremendous advantage, over a second a lap on lap times, gaining time on the field. But if you make that move early and a lap later the caution flies, your night's over. It's done.
We saw that at Memphis happen to Todd Clearer. He's one of the first trucks to hit pit road. He had one of the best trucks there. Unfortunately, the caution came out. He found himself 2 laps down. Gained them both back, but only finished 10th.
Here's a battle we've seen many times before in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. That's Ron Hornaday just in front of Jack Sprague.
Both of these drivers, there's a Chevy Silverado Chevy truck of Jack Sprague, currently in 3rd position. He's a 2-time winner here. Ron Hornaday won a truck race and a bush race here at IRP.
Skinner, I'm sorry, I was going to say Skinner had done something that we're almost maybe going to see out of Dennis Setzer tonight if a caution would come out. But Skinner led every lap for the first 2 years the Truck Series raced here. 350 laps Mike Skinner led.
That's obviously a dominating performance. But remember, when the Truck Series started, you had halftime breaks. There were no green flag pit stops, really no caution flag pit stops because of the halftime break. Ray?
Well, you guys were talking about pit crews and how important they can be if we go green flag. It's very possible trouble, and the guys down here in the 6th pit are getting themselves ready. And you remember at the top of the show, we talked about how many times this year Ron Hornaday's team has had problems in the pits or problems that have taken a win away from them. Hornaday with a great run going tonight. The pit crew is definitely getting ready. I talked to his crew chief, Wally Rogers. I said, I guess this forces us into a one-stop scenario, right? He said, absolutely. One pit stop tonight, and it's coming up here in about 15 laps.
We just saw Ron Hornaday do something here that we've seen so many open wheel midgets and Silver Crown cars do, sprint cars. He did a slide job on the lap truck of Mike Skinner. He drove in the corner at the bottom of the racetrack, beat Skinner into the corner, then slid up in front of him, got back on the throttle, and away he went.
There's a battle side by side for 10th.
You see the 29 truck there, Brad Kozlowski. He was banged up in that first or second lap crash there, so he's fallen off the pace. A couple of lap trucks there, the 02 of Kelly Sutton.
Brendan Gaughan having a very strong run so far. Bob, what's going on with the 77 team?
Yeah, he is up to 7th, up 12 spots, and I spoke to crew chief Tony Liberati, and he said, hey, if 40 laps ago, I told Brendan to go, and we are coming on now, and they think they have an awesome truck out here. Tony Liberati said, let me have the mic. I'll tell them how good this truck is. That's how fine they think that truck is out here on this half-mile oval tonight.
Very good to see Brendan Gaughan running strong and at a short track at that.
He's finished 4th here before a couple years ago, so he does a good job at this racetrack.
Dennis Setzer sliding through turns 4, and he has dominated this one. Coverage of the NCTS 200 at IRP presented on Speed Channel by Kawasaki. Brought to you by Chevy. New Chevrolet is an American revolution. By Domino's Pizza. Get the door. It's Domino's, the official pizza of NASCAR. By new Mobil 1 Extended Performance, official motor oil of NASCAR. And by Allstate, proud sponsor of the Allstate 400 at the Brickyard.
Dennis 17's out of gas.
126 laps. Dennis Setzer has been out in front of this field, and it looks as though he is going to have a dominant performance if he is able to come in under, it looks like, green flag conditions and be able to hold on to that spot. And here's a great battle for second. It's Jack Sprague on the inside, Hornaday on the outside.
We got a lot of trucks starting to make lead lap trucks, excuse me, Rich, starting to make pit stops. Skinner's in, the one truck of Ted Musgraves to pit road. Hornaday's able to hold off Sprague.
Some of these trucks now pitted on back on lap number 34, so David Starr, Tracy Hines have about 34 extra laps of fuel.
Yeah, David Rudiman having trouble, boys, as you guys noted, out of fuel on that NTN bearings number 17, and it's the same old song and dance for David Rudiman all night long, just way too tight. They pulled the spring rubber on the left rear and took 4 tires.
Rudiman able to get onto pit road, and it looks like get going again. Now we see Jack Sprague coming down for service.
At the very last minute, he barely made it to the commitment line. It looked like he was very, very fast in that first section of pit road.
And that'll get you busted. You have to come back to pit road if NASCAR finds he was too fast. It's a black and white call, Phil. It's just that simple. It either is or isn't. A light comes on in a computer scoring monitor NASCAR is looking at. If he was going too fast, he'll have to come back to pit road. Ray?
Well, Jack Sprague has come in. They're going to make a track bar adjustment on his Chevrolet. Now, what they've also done is gone up on air pressure on the right rear. Both of those things will help loosen up his number 16. Sprague said he's pretty good in 3 and 4, but coming off turn 2 is where he's really, really having a problem with it. These guys will go back to the racetrack, Bob.
The Powerstroke truck for Terry Cook struggling. He's been in the top 10, but that truck, it's like the same old song and dance like I've said all night long. These trucks getting tighter and tighter as the night goes on. 4 tires and a slight chassis adjustment for Terry Cook. He a little bit slow here on pit road. They're trying to get all the fuel in that vehicle. The 04 of Bobby Hamilton in as well in the Bailey's vehicle. He is tight as well. They were just about to run out of fuel. A 4-tire stop for him as well.
And we saw the crew for Terry Cook on that Ford Powerstroke Diesel by International, having to spray ether in the intake and just making sure that that thing was still running. So they must have been very close on fuel.
Sure, all these teams are going to be very close. The ones that have not pitted yet. See Dennis Setzer trying to make his way around Johnny Benson. That is the 8th place truck that Dennis Setzer just put a lap down.
Speeding penalty for Mike Skinner. He has to do a pass through. And so it looks like he'll make his way back out onto the track now.
I cannot believe we've gone this long without a caution. I'm so tense up here, Phil, just trying to figure out how this is all going to play out. Sprague back to pit road for a speeding penalty.
I believe Ricky Craven has run out of gas. He's trying to get to his pit. His guys are trying to get him there.
Phil, we watched Jack come through the commitment line, and it looked like he was going very, very fast. Now he's back on pit road. Hornaday to pit road.
That's where you're going to get busted. Usually it's either the first segment or the last segment is when you're going too fast, usually on pit road.
You guys are right. It was speeding for Jack Sprague.
And you remember at the beginning of the race, we talked about how tough this place is mentally. You're running 1 inch from the wall. You're running 1 inch from the other guys. He come on pit road and made a mental mistake.
Ray.
Hey, Hornaday is in his Goodwrench Chevy, guys. Now listen, they had one set of tires up on the wall and were ready to use them. Crew Chief Wally Rogers made a last-second change, and they said, let's put the other set on because it has a stiffer spring rate in the right rear. That'll help loosen him up on the number 6. Wendy?
The 46 team is on the wall, and they're over as Dennis Setzer comes to a stop. The team was well aware of the speeding penalties by the other guys running up front. Everything seems pretty routine. They were only doing an air pressure adjustment. They did have the ether ready in case Dennis Setzer ran out of fuel, and they put on the left side tires. Good stop for the 46 team.
Phil, this is when it's tense. You got guys on old tires running 24.5 seconds. You got guys on new tires running 23 flat. If the caution's ever going to fly, it's going to fly over the next 10 laps or so as all these lead lap trucks and these different trucks come to pit road. Sprague back to pit road again for another speeding penalty.
5 points being gained by the 77 of Brendan Gaughan as he is our leader right now, 3 wide.
Robert Presley has fresher tires right now. He's going to try and take advantage of it. Ray.
Johnny Benson is in. He's got a brand new crew chief this week with Rick Wren here. These guys go to work. Benson has worked his way through this field throughout the night, been passing trucks left and right, and they have the wrench still in the back of it. The guy tried to get a hold of the wrench, but they'll have to bring Johnny Benson back in. A costly mistake down here on pit road.
Cannot leave your pit box with equipment, and that is exactly what has just taken place.
I don't know that Jack Sprague got slowed down enough that time, Phil. I was watching him as he returned to pit road for his next penalty, and it looked like he was the trucks are very, very slow if they're at pit road speed over on the back straightaway.
Too many men over the wall. We're hearing for the 99 of Ricky Craven. A pass-through penalty for him.
Mike Wallace looked like he had a tough time getting that Toyota Tundra of his down to pit road speed. We'll see if he gets a penalty. Phil, the commitment line and pit road speed begins way over on the backstretch. It looks like these guys are out of gas or have a problem when they actually get down to the right speed.
Right at turn number 3 is where the commitment line is when they come onto pit road.
Look at all those people. I guess they decided that was one too many. I can't count that high. I'm all to pieces up here trying to figure all this out.
Brendan Gaughan looks as though he has run out of gas. He's coming down pit road now.
He just got to the commitment line.
You see him he locked the brakes up to try to get slowed down when he got to the commitment line. Bob?
You're absolutely right. He came down the front stretch and said, Liverani, I'm out of gas. He said, bring it down pit road. They were trying to push it as far as they could go to try to catch a caution and get some of these cats a lap down. But here comes the 77 right in front of us, pulling that truck down. He's going to go laps down, and that is a tough break for Brendan Gaughan because he has moved up from the 19th starting spot into the top 3 and into the top spot out here at IRP. Having trouble right now. Rambo talking to him, trying to fire the truck out here. It is finally fired. A 4-tire stop, but a very costly mistake to push that fuel mileage here at IRP. Oh, it's not started, folks. They're having trouble. They're spraying ether down there. It's fired once again, but man, tough break for Brendan Gaughan.
There's his teammate right there, Steve Park. He is stalled right at the entrance. He's actually on pit road. You see him. He's trying to move the truck with a starter. He's completely out of fuel. He's just moving the truck forward with the starter. He needs to get that thing out of the way. He is into somebody's pit box now.
And guess who's out in front now? Chad Chaffin, last year's winner of this race.
And Phil, he's got some extra gas, so he can really throw a wrench into this plan because he's going to stay out there for another 20 laps. He's got some great trucks a lap down right now as he continues to lead this race.
We saw David Ruderman run out of fuel way back on lap 127. Chad Chaffin has 25 extra laps of fuel because he pitted on lap 25.
Mike Wallace, I didn't think that truck looked like he got it down to pit road speed when he came onto pit road. Here he is serving a penalty.
Numerous mistakes under green flag pit conditions.
Well,
and now Chad Chaffin out in front of this field. We'll see if he can hold on until maybe a caution comes out. Welcome back to the NCTS 200. IRP presented on Speed Channel by Kawasaki. Dennis Setzer dominating. He's back out in front now as pit stops have cycled through. Currently second, Jimmy Spencer, just about 6 seconds behind.
We saw when these trucks started to make green flag pit stops, Rick, Jack Sprague barely shot through the commitment line. We got some video of it. Watch Jack as he tries to get to pit road. He dives down and watch. He's on the brakes hard. He goes through the commitment line. Right there, sliding just too fast. You know, and like I said, it's a black and white call. They time that amount of time it takes to go through there, and he was just too fast.
Jack Sprague trying to get he got one of his laps back. He was being shown 2 laps down. Dennis Setzer, I'm sure, said, he's 2 laps down. I'm not going to try to race him. He allowed him to get by him. Now Jack is 1 lap down.
Dennis Setzer with a very comfortable cushion as we look back from the Chevy Silverado of Jack Sprague at that 46. Also Chevy Silverado of Dennis Setzer.
Chad Chaffin was leading when we went away to commercial break. He made his way to pit road while we were away at break, so he gave up the lead.
This is amazing they run this many green flag laps. I'm telling you, Phil, it's a work of art to drive a truck around here by yourself and not crash. These cats, there's 36 of them out there running inches apart, and no one's made a mistake that's brought out the caution flag in over 100 laps.
And essentially racing for the same real estate. They're all racing for the top of the racetrack, but they have to pass people on the bottom to get there.
It seems to be a controlled crash just to get around here. And then throw in somebody else on a different agenda.
Well, you mentioned they're looking for a caution, or amazing we've run this many green flag laps so far. The fewest cautions ever thrown at IRP is 6. Currently we're at 3. Wednesday night is about horsepower and custom rides on Speed Channel. At 7:30 p.m. Street Tuner Challenge. Then at 8 p.m. Nopi Tuner Vision. At 8:30 Pinks. Lose the race, lose your ride. And at 9 p.m. Unique Whips. Turning cars into one-of-a-kind works of art. Check it all out Wednesday night on Speed Channel. We'll continue with more racing. IRP. We'll be back. Welcome back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Powerstroke Diesel 200, presented on Speed Channel by Kawasaki. Dennis Setzer with a dominant performance. There's only 4 trucks currently on the lead lap. Dennis Setzer obviously leading this one. Jimmy Spencer, Ron Hornaday, and Todd Weaver in that number 50 are the top 4. With more on Setzer, Wendy Venerini.
For you folks at home that sometimes get confused after pit stops and where your driver sorts out, don't feel bad. The drivers get confused on the track too. Dennis Setzer, our leader, after that round of pit stops, he came over the radio and asked his crew chief, Eric Phillips. He said, man, am I running second? Eric said, no, you're leading with a 6-second lead.
Well, you ought to see him driving, Wendy. He's throwing that truck sideways, leading with a 6-second lead.
Dennis Setzer usually makes it look easy, but that time he had a handful of steering wheel.
And I keep coming back to the fact this place is hard to drive around. I mean, he's leading the race. You'd think he's handling well just on cruise control. That shows you every lap is an adventure.
He had a big battle trying to get by the 60 truck of Chad Chaffin. He wanted to get in front of him. They battled side by side for a number of laps. He finally used the 0-2 of Kelly Sutton for a pick.
Both of you guys mentioned earlier that this track will continue to get tighter and tighter and tighter When he came in, did they loosen that truck up expecting that?
I'm sure just about every crew chief here loosened their trucks up because most of them were fighting too tight anyway, and they felt like the track is going to continue to get tighter as you go.
And when I say loosen up, when we say loosen up, Rick, he might have put a half a pound in the right rear tire, or they might have took a half a round of wedge out. They're not going to do much to that truck. You can promise that.
Little sideways running for the 46 of Dennis Setzer as he dominates the field at IRP. Welcome back to IRP. Deborah Renshaw just spins in turn 2, and this will bring out the 4th caution of the night.
And the first caution in forever.
Hey, we talked about being a 1 pit stop race. There's only 5 trucks on the lead lap, I think. And if that's the case, then we may see some pit stops.
I think we will see some pit stops. There's no reason not to, especially if you're 5th on the lead lap. You're coming to pit road and getting 4 tires. Dennis Setzer is the only guy that's got a big decision to make.
And he made it. Dennis Setzer is on his way down pit road. This is why Deborah Renshaw, this is why our caution is out. Deborah Renshaw in turn 2 gets spun around and into the grass. That brings out the caution flag. And Wendy is standing by with the 46 team.
It was a last-minute decision made by crew chief Eric Phillips. Unfortunately, I didn't see any other trucks follow him down pit road. They are going to take 4 tires on this 46 truck.
The 50 truck of Todd Cleaver, another one of the lead lap trucks, is also going to come down pit road. Ron Hornaday stayed out. Jimmy Spencer stayed out. Jimmy Spencer inherits the lead.
I think you got to pit. I think when the 46 came to pit road, I think you, and you know, Matt Crafton is going to pit, but he's going to have to start at the tail end of the longest line, so he's going to be way back.
Here comes the 50 of Todd Cleaver. Ray?
Well, and these guys, you know, everybody up here on the lead lap saying, why not pit here? What are we going to lose? So Todd Cleaver said that he needs to try to loosen up his truck just a little bit more. So they're going to go ahead and make adjustments for him. Now, you notice that the 6th truck of Ron Hornaday did not come down pit road, but he will this time. They were talking on the radio, and he wasn't sure whether he was supposed to pit or not, but watch for Hornaday to come this way.
Yeah, he's got to pit. I don't understand Spencer's strategy, but maybe it'll come clear. We didn't understand Richie Waters' strategy, and we missed that one up. I mentioned that Matt Crafton would be the last truck at the tail end. He got the free pass. He was the first truck 1 lap down.
Ron Hornaday now coming down for service. Ray?
Well, the Hornaday, after they had a little talk on the radio, said, yeah, let's go ahead and pit here. We'll do it for sure. So these guys are going to take a little bit of wedge out of this good wrench Chevy and also going to pull a spring rubber. So you see that the wedge wrench goes into the right side. They go ahead and do that. And they are going to pull rubber out here. And now let's check back in with Wendy.
Matt Crafton is on pit road taking 4 tires, and he's already down and away. Matt told me at the beginning of the day that their truck was awful off the truck when they first started practice. They worked on it in that full hour that we had today, and they definitely have this 88 truck dialed in. He's raced here 4 times, folks, and he's finished in the top 10 all 4 of those times. Matt Crafton going for another top 10 run here at IRP.
You know, Matt Crafton's going to have a big disadvantage. He obviously got an advantage by being the free pass truck, but he's going to have to restart from the tail of the longest line with only 5 trucks on the lead lap. He's going to restart about 25th in line on the inside line.
Long way to go. Jimmy Spencer out in front of this field. Ron Hornaday being shown in 2nd. And welcome back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Powerstroke Diesel 200 presented on Speed Channel by Kawasaki. Just back to green flag racing. Jimmy Spencer out in front of Dennis Setzer, now right behind Jimmy Spencer. Wendy, what's happening?
It's been over 2 years since Jimmy Spencer won his truck race. I spoke to his crew chief, Dan Glaus. I said, why didn't you pit? You're the only truck out there. There is trouble on the front stretch.
Well, almost trouble. Mike Wallace saved the 12. Unbelievable. He was sideways going across the start-finish line.
I never dreamed he would regain control of that Toyota and save it, but he did.
What a job. It still isn't over. These guys are getting a little...
And we're going to stay green. Sorry we jumped in there, Wendy, but it was amazing what the 12 was able to do.
No problem. Dan Glaus just told me he had to roll the dice. He had to take his chance. Now I spoke to Eric Phillips, Dennis Setzer's crew chief, and he said, we weren't taking any chances. Remember this race 1 year ago? Dennis Setzer was running 2nd, and he did not come in with 30 laps to go. Well, he lost that race, and Eric says, we're not repeating that finish.
Side by side, this is for the lead. The 46 of Dennis Setzer has been dominant all night long. Jimmy Spencer tries to hold him off with just 20 laps of racing to go.
Dennis Setzer is going to have to make it by Jimmy Spencer. Jimmy's not going to give him any more room than he has to.
Oh, and the 50 truck is going to try to complicate matters by sticking his nose up in the middle of that mess.
Watch Jimmy Spencer dive to the inside of the racetrack, trying to pinch Dennis Setzer down to the bottom. Look at Todd Cleaver on the inside.
He's going to try to make it 3 wide.
You've got to know that Spencer's going to make this pass the hardest pass Setzer's ever made. Look how low he enters into the corner, pinching Setzer down to the bottom, making him wrestle that truck to stay off the side of Spencer.
And Todd Cleaver doesn't want to give him an opening if he's not able to get by Jimmy Spencer. Cleaver tucks right in behind the 2 of Jimmy Spencer. Now he's following Setzer on the bottom of the track.
What a great turn by Setzer. He was able to do the deal right there. That shows you how good that truck is right in the middle of the turn, Phil.
We saw it earlier. You saw him make so much time in the middle. Look at Todd Cleaver. Just drive by Jimmy Spencer.
Cleaver almost running as low as Ron Hornaday was running earlier in this race.
Wow, what a battle that was. This race has been so entertaining. So much stuff going on.
Look at Todd Cleaver going for win number 1.
Todd Cleaver, a rookie in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, hasn't had a victory. 2 weeks ago, we saw a rookie win it, or actually not a rookie, but a young man getting his first win in Brandon Witt, and now Todd Cleaver trying to claim his first victory. But he's got a very formidable challenge in front of him in the sights of 46 Dennis Setzer.
We saw Dennis Setzer's crew chief Eric Phillips for a moment stand up watching this race. Battle for 6 right there. Ted Musgrave the 1, Rick Crawford the 14. Great side-by-side battle.
They're just all over one another, Phil, but yet they are working it out.
There was a slide job, and then Ted Musgrave said, "Don't give me a slide job."
On the inside of him, that's the 23 of Johnny Benson, also making it around.
Johnny's being shown in the 16th position. He got one of the pit road penalties. That's what put him out of contention for a spot racing with Rick Crawford and Ted Musgrave.
Battle for 3rd place, Phil. Here comes Hornaday, and the 50 truck is all over the leader.
The 46 and the 50 battling for the lead. Here goes the 50 of Todd Cleaver on the inside of the 46.
Hornaday wrecked. Hornaday and Spencer crashed going into 1.
No caution flag.
They're still going, as is the battle for the lead. Todd Cleaver continues to look on the inside of Dennis Setzer.
Hornaday ran Spencer, got sideways under Spencer and ran him into the wall. Hornaday escaped unscathed. Spencer, however, has got some damage.
Inside of 15 laps to go, and we have got side-by-side battles all over the track. This is for the lead. Todd Cleaver on the inside of Dennis Setzer.
Wow, what a truck Todd Cleaver's got. We said it, Phil. He came from the back. The only guy passing trucks early in the going.
The Rotella T Ford of Todd Cleaver, the winner of the Race for the Ride with Roush Racing a year ago, gave him the opportunity to get into a truck. Oh, and we've got problems with Kelly Sutton in the 02. And that will bring out our 5th caution of the night.
Now we have to ask ourselves.
We saw Todd Cleaver,
who was leading,
worked by Dennis Setzer. I think he made that pass after the caution. I saw the caution flag in the flagman's hand.
Now, 2 races ago, we talked about how they reset the field when a caution comes out. They do it by loops around the track.
It doesn't matter who was ahead right when the caution flew. It matters who was ahead when they went over the last loop. And the 50 truck was ahead of Dennis in the center of the corner. Dennis ahead off. So it just matters. All it depends on is where electronic lines across the racetrack. That's what's going to determine who's leading this race.
Look again at why we're under our 5th caution of the night. That's Kelly Sutton in the 02 hitting the wall in the left front of that truck.
She got sideways coming off turn number 2.
And so when we come back, the finish of the battle at IRP. Welcome back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Powerstroke Diesel 200 presented on Speed Channel by Kawasaki. This is it. Inside of 10 laps, single file restart on lap 192. Dennis Setzer takes the green flag.
Watch Ron Hornaday, 3rd position. He got a little bit loose as he got in the corner there.
And Jimmy Spencer knows what that feels like. Ron got a little bit loose and took him out.
Earlier battle for 3rd between Ron Hornaday and Jimmy Spencer, and Jimmy Spencer was not happy about the outcome of that battle.
Spencer's since been to pit road, got 4 fresh tires, but he's knocked the toe in off on that truck. Even though he came to get tires, he couldn't get the truck turned.
This is what we were talking about.
Battle for the third position. Ron Hornaday drives to the inside. Jimmy Spencer tries to pitch him down low. They make contact. Jimmy gets the worst of it into the outside wall.
Jimmy Spencer backing up a little bit, and it looks as though Dennis Setzer is being able to put some distance between himself and the T Ford number 50 of Todd Cleaver. Wendy?
We told you at the top of the show, this is Dennis Setzer's 9th visit to IRP, and he's never finished in the top 5. Folks, this is a winning truck. It's the same exact truck that he won with earlier this season at Milwaukee. Dennis Setzer already has 3 wins this season, our points leader, and going for a 4th win here at IRP.
Wendy, I've known Todd Cleaver since his late model days at Wisconsin-Madison International Speedway. He has put so much pressure on himself this year, and he's put the pressure on himself to win. Jack Rouse just a couple weeks ago said, Todd, don't worry about winning. Let's get consistent finishes, and then the win will come. He's oh so close here tonight at IRP.
5 laps to go, about a half a second between Setzer and Cleaver right now. Setzer putting almost the biggest lead he's had over second place in quite some time.
It almost looked like the caution flag allowed Dennis Setzer's tires to cool, and it made his truck better, where Todd Cleaver was all over Dennis Setzer, side by side with him when the caution came out. He's not quite able to keep pace like he was before.
Dennis Setzer looking to increase his points lead. He is our points leader. He came in with a 158-point lead over second place Ted Musgrave, and a win here would be very good for this 46 team. He's led the most laps, 173 so far. 3 other drivers have been out front, Jimmy Spencer, Chad Chaffin, and Brendan Gaughan, but it has been the Dennis Setzer show most of the night.
Would be win number 4, the most wins ever in his career. What a great year he's had so far. Got a giant point lead, and looks like he's going to extend that.
I tell you, a smart move by one of the teams on pit road, Bobby Kennedy, Jason Overstreet, and those guys on Rudiment's truck. They came to pit road. They were one of the trucks a lap down. He's storming through the field. He's up to 12th now. He's got a shot at the top 10 because of good strategy on pit road.
Now remember, guys, it is not over until the checkered flag flies. We've seen some amazing finishes in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and now as they come up through 3 and 4, about to take the white flag, this will be the final lap for Dennis Setzer. It's Setzer out in front of Todd Cleaver, just over 5/8 of a mile to go.
Got a great battle. I think David Rudin was able to pass a couple trucks since you even mentioned that. Moved up into the top 10.
He has. The white flag's out.
Only 6 trucks on the lead lap. That is how dominant the 46 team and Dennis Setzer has been. The short track ace comes out of turn number 4, and he will win his 4th race of 2005.
Wow. But it had drama, didn't it, Rick? Written all over. We didn't know he was going to win his 4th race with about 10 to go.
Unbelievable. Dennis Setzer coming home with the win. Unofficially, Todd Cleaver 2nd, Ron Hornaday 3rd, Matt Crafton with a great performance in 5th tonight, and Jimmy Spencer rounding out the top 5.
I wonder if Jimmy thinks he needs to have a conversation with Mr. Hornaday. Those guys were just racing really hard. Maybe Jimmy looks at it, well, I pinched him down a little bit and he just got loose. Or maybe Jimmy's saying, man, you got to control your truck. I can't.
Let's go down to the winning crew chief and Wendy Venturini.
No holds barred. This team is definitely unstoppable, and it's all led right here by crew chief Eric Phillips. Eric, your 4th win this season. You guys are definitely on a roll.
Yeah, these guys are awesome. I don't know if it's all me. I think it's more of them guys there. They do all the work. I just try to orchestrate the deal. They work hard every week. We keep digging. I don't know. It's hard to believe. I grew up about 100 miles from here. My dad's here, my uncle's. It's pretty special. We got our first short track win, too, and everybody kept wondering why we went on all the big racetracks and finally got a short track win for Dennis.
A special win for Eric Phillips and this whole 46 team. Go celebrate in victory lane.
Chevy congratulates Dennis Setzer in the number 46 Chevy Silverado on tonight's big win. No truck has dominated the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series like the Chevy Silverado. Chevy, the winningest name in racing at American Revolution. Dennis Setzer getting good at celebrating wins in the 2005 season. He could run away with this championship. Coverage of the NCTS 200 at IRP, presented on Speed Channel by Kawasaki, is brought to you by Kawasaki, the leading edge of power, performance, exhilaration. Brought to you in part by Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and by new Mobil 1 Extended Performance, official motor oil of NASCAR. Now standing by with our winner tonight is Wendy Venerini. Let him out of the truck, Wendy.
Dennis Setzer is taking off his helmet and his Hunt. Nobody wants to get out of this truck sooner than Dennis Setzer. Eric Phillips in the window, congratulating him. The 4th win of the 2005 season for Dennis Setzer as he makes the climb from his Chevy Silverado. Dennis Setzer definitely on his way to a championship. He had a 158-point lead coming in as he makes that lead even stronger tonight. Never had a top 5 at this speedway in 9 visits to IRP. Tonight, he comes home the winner as he gets congratulated by his crew. Dennis, what an amazing night. Your team is definitely unstoppable. All you took was a half a pound of air pressure in that thing.
Wow, that thing was really good all night. You know, I was fortunate to start up front by the rain today, but these guys had some awesome pit stops again. You know, I'm just excited when they come on pit road. If I'm in the lead, they get me another, some addition to it. If I'm a little behind, they gave me spots. So my hat's off to these guys. Eric had a great truck under us all night. You know, we worked really hard during that short 1 hour practice. I'm just so proud of our team Silverado.
Tell me what it's like to be in your shoes right now. You're going for the championship, and man, you're putting on a heck of a show.
Well, it's just going so good. I'm kind of nervous right now. I don't know what to do. You know, this team comes out to win races every week, and I'm so proud of them. You know, they work so hard in the shop. David Dollar and all the guys at Morgan Dollar Motorsports put good pieces under me every week, and you know, these guys just all pull together. Randy Goss and the All-Stars team jump in and help. You know, they had a great run with Eric Amarillo tonight, and just proud of this whole program for the way this thing has come. We just moved it to North Carolina about a year ago, and so proud of what they're doing.
30 laps to go, and you came in as the leader. You were the Lone Ranger on pit road until the next lap. Everyone else followed you. How tough was it to come down pit road?
Well, Eric said to come down, and he's in total control of the race. You know, he could look and see how it's unfolding. He knew we had a pretty good truck. Last year I stayed out, Johnny Sauter and I stayed out with about 30 laps to go. We had the 2 best trucks, and kind of didn't work out for us, but coming down pit road definitely paid dividends for us tonight.
We saw you had a couple close calls with a few laps to go. Todd Cleaver was coming on strong.
Very impressive. Todd Cleaver's he's a talented young man. Really got an exciting crew chief there with Mike Beam. You know, that's I was fortunate enough to test some with Mike Beam back at Bill Esdale back years ago, and just a great guy. I congratulate those guys, but I'm so proud of Eric and all these guys right here. Just great guys, man.
Dennis Setzer, always a modest man, but he is definitely on his way to a championship contending year. Ray, I think you've caught up with Todd Cleaver.
Yeah, I have, and he's talking it over with Mike Beam. You know, these guys were second at Kansas City. That was a great run, but tonight from 16th to 2nd, congratulations.
Thanks. It was a great night for my show Rotella team, and just really excited for my guys. You know, about 4 weeks ago, Jack flip-flop crews around a little bit and gave me a new crew chief with Mike Beam and a new engineer with Hal Reston and a new truck chief and Steve McCain. And for whatever reason, you know, not that there was anything wrong with the last guys I had, but we've really clicked, and they can give me exactly what I need. And it's just been a phenomenal last 4 weeks and a lot of fun. And I thought tonight was going to be our night, man. I've been waiting for a long time this year to win one of these things, and pretty disappointed I didn't have it. But I thought it was ours until that last caution. I just got too tight at the end.
Well, he did a good job of running through the field, no doubt about that. Both of the Roush guys not having a win this year, but Todd Cleaver with his second place finish of 2005.
And Ford still looking for that first win in 2005. It hasn't been a problem for Chevy. 9 wins in the 2005 season, 4 of them by that man right there. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is presented by Craftsman. Dennis Setzer celebrating win number 4 for the 2005 season, win 16 for his career. Fireworks taking place above head celebrating that win. Also taking place on the track, and this was just a few laps from the finish. Ron Hornaday and Jimmy Spencer having some, well, words, I guess you would say.
Well, this is just a deal where Ron drove on the inside of Spencer, and Spencer just elected to drive in the corner on his line. And Ron lost his truck and ran into Spencer, and Spencer doesn't want to hear it. He's saying, "Go away, it's okay, I don't want to talk to you about this," because he feels like that that Ron did him wrong. Ron used him up, wrecked Jimmy, took him out of a chance to win the race, and I guarantee you that's what he's saying.
Yeah, I think Jimmy, they're still talking about it, but Jimmy really doesn't want to talk about it because he's extremely mad. He's hot. There he's talking to Jimmy Smith. He's explaining to him what happened. Jimmy's a little bit upset about it. It was hard racing. Jimmy was trying. He had older tires than anybody else on the racetrack. There's Kevin Harvick talking to his driver Ron Hornaday.
You got to be sensitive to the fact there's just a few laps left, but also you can't, get run over. Bob, what's Ron have to say about the circumstances in the situation?
Well, let's find out from Ron Hornaday. They were just discussing what happened between you and Spencer on the track, and then, of course, the conversation after the track. So, Ron, tell us about it.
Well, I knew better to go over there because Jimmy won't talk to me. I'm not going to say it's racing. I mean, Jimmy and I raced really hard and real clean coming off forward and everything. I just got in there and he drove me a little extra hard, and I jabbed the brakes instead of got on easy and hopped the rear tires and used him up. And I hate to see that. My kid works over there, good friends of mine, Jimmy Smith. All them guys deserve a good run, and I just got over anxious, I get. But GM Goodrich Chevrolet was good, and I just didn't have nothing for them. I was a little snug. I had Wally tighten it back up, put 4 tires on it, and that wasn't the call. But good race. We needed a good run, get back up there, and sure glad Jimmy came back up in there.
Ron Hornaday with a good top 5 run here, and he mentioned his son, Jimmy Spencer Jr., running the Pro Cup Series, actually, for the team.
Great to see Ron Hornaday. He admitted, hey, I just got in the corner a little bit too hard, jabbed the brakes, locked up the rear wheels, and they chattered a little bit on me. Got up into Jimmy Spencer. He hated it.
Todd Cleaver ties his career best, finishing second. Another guy who had a great run tonight in 10th place, Eric Almirola. And I tell you what, for his second career truck start, not bad.
We liked the way that truck looked from the start of the race. Rudeman there recovered for an 11th place finish, and he didn't run that well all night. Good pit call by the guys on pit road late in the going.
Let's mention Robert Presley with a 7th place finish for Jim Harris's Edie's Dodge. That was a great run for Robert Presley. They needed that.
And another thing you got to mention, Ron Hornaday, he said just what I want to hear if I'm Jimmy Spencer. I messed up. I took you out. I hate that. I don't want to hear, well, you kind of pinched me down. That would make you come unglued.
Well, let's hear the other side of the story. Jimmy Spencer standing by with Ray Dunlap.
Oh, he sure is. And Jimmy, you weren't able to hear, but Ron Hornaday said he definitely messed up there, got you into the wall a little bit. But hey, a top 5 tonight. Congratulations.
Yeah, Ron come over and said he was sorry, and that's all you can do. I mean, we race hard, and that's what I like about him. But it's over, and Dennis, the same thing. We didn't put tires on. We figured, Ray, that our truck was faster than Dennis's at the time. Track position is critical here, and when we went back racing, there was only 18 laps to go or whatever, but our truck never came back to where it was. So the cycle of the tires killed it. And, it only hurt at a 10th, but a 10th of a second's a tremendous amount. And it's what cost us.
Well, whenever you got into the wall there with Hornaday, was that did that make the truck harder to drive, or was it okay?
I couldn't drive it, Ray. I'm just thankful there was only 5 or 6 trucks there on the lead lap because I wasn't going to finish 5th. Toe-in was knocked out real bad. Bending up pretty good, housing and stuff, but I just think nobody ran into the back of me there, and we come home 5th. That, all in all, that was pretty good. We had a better truck than that, and I really, Ray, wish the race would have went non-stop the last 30 laps. I was catching Dennis, and he could not get through lap traffic, and he also was running a lot higher line than he needed to. And I said, that means his tires is getting wore out, and that's why he put tires on. And our truck was actually faster before the pit stop, with about 10 laps there before we pitted for fuel and tires there around 1:30, whatever. It was really fast, and that's what made my crew chief make the decision. So I'm very happy with what happened tonight. We're out of here. We'll be happy.
Okay, congratulations, and we'll see you on Victory Lane on Sunday. That's Jimmy Spencer with a top 5 tonight at IRP.
11 a.m. on Speed Channels at NASCAR this morning. Also, you can check out Jimmy Spencer. Here are the point standings through 15 races. Dennis Setzer out in front, 227 points in front of Ted Musgrave. The last time there was a points lead this big was Greg Biffle, 230 points over Kurt Busch back in 2000. Dennis Setzer claiming the clock at IRP. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Welcome back to the Powerstroke Diesel 200. IRP presented on Speed Channel by Kawasaki. Bob Dillner's caught up with a man who's had his best finish in 2005, Matt Crafton.
Stealth-like tonight for Matt Crafton here, a top 5 run, and like I said, you were very quiet out there. Really didn't get in the middle of things, but a good run for you.
Yeah, I didn't even run into anything tonight. I mean, IRP, not even a scratch on truck. No, we were really good on long green flag runs, and that long green flag run was really good for us. Our truck would not go under. I mean, it'd take 50 laps for the thing to really get going. So I was enjoying the long green flag run, but how often do you see green flag pit stops at IRP?
Yeah, not too often. You said you were surprised out of that. You were worried you were going to run out of fuel at one point.
Yeah, Dennis, he kept calling me. He was going, "You want to come in? We'll keep watching fuel pressure. It's good." And I called in scared. I coming down the front straight away. I said, "Let's come in. Let's get pit. Let's get some gas." And I didn't want to run out of gas. I know we had a good run. I know we had top 10, top 5 truck. So we just needed a long green flag run. So we needed another 50 laps right there at the end and straight green flag, and we might have had something for him at the end.
Matt Crafton, all smiles tonight here at IRP.
Tonight's Mobil 1 move of the race is brought to you by the new Mobil 1 Extended Performance, official motor oil of NASCAR. This is the move right here for the lead.
Remember, Dennis Setzer has a little bit fresher tires than Jimmy Spencer. He's got to make the move, though, right on the bottom of the racetrack. He squirts by him in the center of the corner. That's where he was good all night.
We saw that all night long, Phil. He didn't have to charge the corner like we saw Ron do and get in trouble with Jimmy. You saw as they entered the turn, he actually let off the gas before Jimmy. Got settled in the corner, shot across the middle, beat him off. Hey, Wendy, did you find Eric? Because I thought that Eric Amarola did
I did. Hey, I have
great job.
I have a lesson. Look at this. This is what Eric wrote down for me at the beginning of the race. Almirola. And guess what, folks? You're going to learn how to say that because Eric is definitely going to be around in the racing circuit. He's only 21 years old. It's his second start in the Truck Series. Joe Gibbs, diversity development driver. What an amazing night for you.
Yeah, I tell you what. Everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing, I can't thank them enough for giving me the opportunity. Home Depot's come on board since I started with their diversity program, and I can't thank them enough either. They've stuck behind me through thick and thin, and they've just supported me tremendously, and I can't think of a better sponsor. Like I said, everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing, they've given me the opportunity to do this, and I can't thank them enough. Chevy Silverado, if it wasn't for them tonight, I don't think we would run nearly as good as we did. We struggled in practice. And Goss and the boys worked on the truck real hard. We went to the Chevy meeting, and everybody at Chevy helped us straighten our truck out. We went from a 26th place car in practice to probably a 7th place car tonight in the truck tonight in the race. Just track position really hurt us. Rain out qualifying started 31st, so got up to 10th. I'm really happy.
Now, you just told me you sat in these stands when you were 8 years old. Did you ever think you were going to be sitting here on Speed Channel talking to me about a top 10 finish in the Truck Series?
No, never. I was a little kid. I used to watch Thursday Night Thunder and jump up and down on the couch and watch USAC cars run around here. Never thought I'd get the chance to race here. And I saw it for the first time in person last Tuesday when we come up here and tested. Had a fairly good test, nothing to brag about. Come here, didn't practice very well, and they did a really good job working on the truck.
This Joe Gibbs development driver is definitely going to be a shoe of the future. And again, folks, and Mikey, it's Almirola.
Well, and maybe after this top 10 performance, the Home Depot might get him a new hat so that it might not look as rugged there on the bill as that last one. The Toyota Spotlight lets us take a closer look at where tonight's field of Toyota Tundras finished. We take a look here at Rudiman finish, the highest Toyota performer.
Not a stellar night for Toyota, but David Rudiman, we talked about his 2.7 finish average over the last 3 races. He was 11th tonight. He's moved from 12th to 6th over the last 12 races.
3
races.
And he's done a fine job at that, too. The fans trying to get a little closer look at tonight's winner, Dennis Setzer, calling home saying, how about that? Won our 4th race of the season.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
Just a few miles to the southeast of where we're at right now is beautiful downtown Indianapolis, Indiana. A great night for racing after what started off to look like a very dismal day as it rained most of the day. We weren't even sure if we were going to get this race in.
That's why we mentioned that it cut the practice from about 2.5 hours down to 1 hour, and people like Dennis Setzer and Ron Hornaday, they got this figured out. Todd Cleaver had not been here before except in an ASA car. They had their deal figured out and they finished second.
Back in action next week at Nashville Super Speedway. That's a 5 p.m. start for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series for the Toyota Tundra 200.
Toyota will be looking to rebound from a little bit of an off night tonight. They've usually been good on the bigger tracks, though, with a bunch of their trucks running up front. So hopefully it'll be a better show for them next week.
Brendan Gaughan talking with some of the fans that are sticking around here. A great crowd on hand for tonight's race. This being the 11th race for the Truck Series here at IRP.
Good run for Brendan Gaughan. He battled to an 8th place finish. His second top 10 here out of 3 starts at IRP.
I love the action we saw tonight, Rick. These guys were all over one another from the beginning to the end.
And here was a great day. We had the rain that canceled qualifying, so they were lined up by points. Dennis Setzer sat on the pole. He started on the outside and dominated the first part of this race. Led 173 laps and ended up one of the most dominating performances so far this year for him.
And had to pull it out in the last 10 laps. So that cat Todd Cleaver was past him with 10 to go, and the caution fell. And then when they took off to race to the checker, he had an advantage.
And again, short track racing, bumping and banging taking place all over the track. Fireworks were everywhere as we saw the sliding of the trucks and the problems some had, but not for the 46 of Dennis Setzer. He claims his 4th win of 2005.